This can only mean one thing. It's time to make maple syrup in the state of Vermont. The sun's out, the weather's warming up, and the sap is starting to run, which means that we're getting ready to start boiling this sap down to make maple syrup in our own backyard. Every spring across the north, when the nighttime temperatures are below freezing and the daytime temps jump up above freezing, especially with some nice sunshine like we have today, these maple trees start giving up their sweet bounty, maple sap that we can boil into maple syrup. We use these lines with taps that are drilled into the tree to collect all the sap into one central location by conveying them through the tube from the tree and down to a central collection tank where we can pick it up. And we know it's working because the lines are starting to fill up and this sap is starting to flow. And it can take a lot of sap to make maple syrup. Sometimes as much as 80 gallons or more, oftentimes around 40 gallons or more. It really depends on how much sugar is in the sap, the sugar content that the trees are producing. Our sugar bush has 80 taps, 80, and we've got a big collection tank that we're hoping to see fill up in the next couple of days so we can start boiling it down into syrup. The way the process starts is we run these plastic lines up through the sugar bush. We use little plastic spouts or spiles, taps, drill a hole into the tree, put that tap in, connect it into the central system, and then these lines convey all of the sap into one central collection tank. We use the tractor to come and pick that sap up and bring it back to our front yard sugar house. So let's take a look at that. We're fortunate that our house is just about 100 yards away from where we collect sap. So all we have to do is drive the tractor down the road, pick up the sap, and bring it right back to our front yard. And right now, the front yard is a little bit of a mess. We had these big pines taken down so that we could get them out from under our power service. And now we've got logs stockpiled all over the place, but they're going to be hitting the sawmill once everything thaws out in another month or two. We're going to be milling these logs up to build our permanent sugar house, but for right now, we're operating in a temporary sugar house built pretty much this week. And that sugar house is just a metal roofed carport with tarps for sides, some logs to hold it in place, with all of our sugaring equipment inside. Things are a little bit of a mess still because we're putting the finishing touches on, but we'll give you a quick walkthrough of how things will work once we start boiling sap. So the sap will come from down the road. We'll bring it with the tractor to our head tank. This is a food grade barrel, just mounted up high enough to use gravity to flow into the pan. We added a sight gauge so we can see how much liquid is in the barrel nice and easily with a valve that runs to a piece of PEX plumbing into a pre-warmer. This actually came with this evaporator, and this evaporator is brand new to us. This is the first year we're using it. The previous owner used this to warm the sap before it actually entered the pan. Once it makes its way through the pre-warmer, it comes into this float assembly. There's a floating valve that triggers a plunger underneath here. So when the level of the sap in the pan drops down too low, the float drops and it calls for more sap. The sap dumps in the tank, the float comes up and seals off the spot where the sap comes in. From there, the sap travels through the pan, continuously boiling, travels into the front pans, and then eventually, when it's denser and becomes maple syrup, it comes into this pan, and you draw the syrup off with this valve. This whole thing is called an evaporator or an arch. There's a lot of different names that people use it, but basically, there's two doors where you can put a wood fire in. You put your wood in through those doors. You control your airflow with that. The fire comes in, burns in the fire chamber, and then the draft carries the flame and the heat underneath the pan and then up and out through the stack. And this year, we kind of ran out of wood. We had to set aside about a quart of wood that we would normally burn in the house because we weren't anticipating getting a new evaporator, but this was on Facebook Marketplace for a really good deal, and we're sugar makers now, so we just couldn't pass up an upgrade. Last year we boiled in a pop-up canopy that was 10 by 10. This year we've got a 12 by 13 metal roof carport. It's going to provide a lot more space and be a lot more comfortable. Still not the greatest solution, but it's going to be really nice for a temporary 1-year fix. And stay tuned, because next year all these logs piled up everywhere are going to be turning into a brand new home milled, custom built 16 by 20 sugar house that's going to go right there where that big pile of snow is. And it's going to be a lot nicer than working out of a temporary setup like this. At least that's if our zoning permit gets approved. But that's another story for another video. So for now, by the sounds of it in the background, the chickens need some feed or water because they're yelling at me. I've got some finishing touches to put on this whole system before the sap really starts flowing. And we've got a lot of sugaring to do. So make sure you stay tuned, follow along, because we've got a lot more of this process to show you. And our first boil should be coming any day now. And as always, thanks for watching. Make sure you don't forget to subscribe, share with your friends, give this video a like, and let me know what you think of my custom, homemade, backyard, front yard, maple sugar in operation.